Robert was always super nice to me, man. Always super nice to me. I never fully understood it, I don't think. Like, even from, like, not day one. I don't think he talked to me day one, but very early, before anybody else really talked. Joseph Adai was very nice to me, and I think he introduced me to a lot of people. And I was always just like, man, Robert, I'm sure you're told this a lot, but I would assume that you scare the shit out of most Caucasians in a lot of places, you know? He's one of the most intimidating humans of all time. But then you start talking to him, he was like so nice, joking, fucking around, so intelligent, like deep thinking. It was really cool, man. I'm very thankful for his friendship through the years. But
didn't you say he was one of the first guys who wanted to like invest what you were doing off the field, like in early in your career?
Yeah, he was like, can I buy a percentage of your off the field business stuff? And this was whenever I was still in the league or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if I'm a corporate, like I don't even know if I could do that. He was like, well, if there ever a time, I want in. And I was like, you got it, man. So then like the next year came around, he showed up in my first ever stand up. So he was like him, Vinatieri, they're like front row or whatever. He was like, when you do stand up, I'm going to be there. I was like, you got it. So I did stand-up, and it was the only reason why I did stand-up because I was doing Bob and Tom. And I had done like a stand-up comedy thing with a guy named Scott Long for charity. And he's a very nice guy, and the event was for charity. I'd been tweeting a little bit, and he kind of like forced me into it, to be honest with you. He went on the news, and he basically said, we're not doing it unless Pat McAfee does it. So then I got kind of like tweeted about it. But it was nice for him to do. I did like a little thing, and it was cool. Like I had a lot of fun with him. He was very nice, and I learned a lot, and I started watching all the stand-up comedians. And then a couple years later, I get to do Bob and Tom, and Bob and Tom is a show that's here in Indianapolis, but it's syndicated across the country, like 175, I think, radio stations there for a while. So big, booming. It's a comedy morning show. And all the comedians would come through there. One morning I was on there, and a comedian who's been paid very, very well to do comedy comes into the studio. And when the comedian comes into the studio, I'm having a conversation with him. And while I'm talking to him off air, I realize, oh, this person isn't funny at all. So the questions that he was being asked, he wrote down for Tom to ask him, and then he had punchlines written below. Oh, boy. So I was just watching this person, and I was near them for like 3 hours that morning. They were like guest hosting or whatever, and they were very nice. I would say like very nice human. But I was watching this take place. I'm like, this is a fraud, right? Hey, this is bullshit.
You're kidding me.
You're reading a script right now. Like this isn't. And so immediately after he leaves, right, he gets out of there. One of my good friends, Bob Kavoyan, who's one of the show's hosts, Bob from Bob and Tom, he's now my next door neighbor. He was the guy that did my wedding, by the way, a guy that I really have a lot of respect for, and I appreciate him. I go, hey, that motherfucker's lying to people. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, that guy's not a comedian. He's one of the most boring humans of all time. He's reading a goddamn script out there. He's like, well, who do you think wrote the script? I was like, well, now that I think about it, probably not him, right? He's like, well, some people do it differently, right? Some people are naturally funny people. Some people can deliver things well. Some people have to write it out and the whole thing, but their brain's still creative. And some people do have people write for them, and it's all one big fraud. And I was like, that's bullshit. That is absolutely. He's like, well, if you're so funny, why don't you do it? I was like, do what? He was like, stand-up comedy. I was like, I will. I will. So I rented out a theater, okay? Sold out in 10 seconds on my Twitter account, crashed the ticketing site, had to get another night. And then I was like, well, goddamn, now I have to do it. So I paid for a local production company, like $30,000. We shot both nights, made it a special. I had a great time doing it, an absolute great time doing it. And I had no idea where I was headed with this.
And Robert was there.
Oh, yeah. He was there, front row. Literally front row.
That is awesome.
Forced me to give him tickets. He was like, if you ever do it, I want you to do it. Here we go. And he's on the show. He's on the actual DVD that we don't know where the Masters is. Like, have no idea. It was on YouTube there for a while on somebody else's account, had raked up a lot of views, and I didn't even tell him to take it down. I think somebody told them to take it down. So now I don't even know where it is. That was how I would have to reference it, is from that another person's YouTube account that ripped it off of whatever. I think we have a DVD of it maybe in my house somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure. That thing could potentially be gone forever.
Gotta find it.
I have no idea where it's at.
If there's a chance it's at your house, turn that thing upside down.
I went for 97 minutes straight.
That's absurd.
Both nights?
Absurd, yeah. Well, the second night was similar to the first night, but the crowd could have known what was coming because the Indy Star actually wrote the entire set in the newspaper Sunday morning.
Had the transcript.
It was basically transcripted in the Indy Star.
That's nice.
So we can just go to the archives and look at that.
You could potentially just read it, I guess.
Yeah.
Delivery means nothing, right? I mean, in comedy, so you could just read it or whatever. With a picture of me on a stage, you basically get the optics of it.
I get it.
And it's like a book, you know what I mean? Yeah, that happened.
Thought that was illegal.
Well, yeah, it turns out it was. People tell me I should have sued them.
Yeah.
And did the whole thing. But good people at Indy Star. I actually did a show with them for a little bit, so I didn't do it. But you're right. It was a little bit interesting going on stage and knowing damn well that everybody in there knew exactly what was coming. So, second time ever really doing it in front of, a couple thousand people. We had a good time, though, man. I had a fucking blast. What's up, Nick?
So you have the Barn of Bad Decisions. You have a bunch of regrets. The Moroccan oil nuts, the Bitcoin.
Whoa, dude.
I think you should add Robert Mathis to that list, not letting him invest, because I'm just thinking about you coming in like once a month to a meeting, sitting down at the board of investors, and you having to explain to Robert what you're going to do and what you're planning.
All right, Robert, here's the plan. I'm going to get on a private plane with Wi-Fi. Okay, so that's going to cost a little bit more, I think.
geez.
I think that's going to cost a little bit more. This is where your money's been going, okay? And we had a little bit sketchy landing last time. This one pretty good. And then we did a documentary on a car getting upgraded from just a Bentley normal one to a 680 horsepower. Is my money going to all this? Yeah. Okay, this is good. Hey, but here's your return on investment.
right.
Here's your return on
That's right.
investment.